You have to understand something. Nothing great ever came from comfort. Nothing legendary was born from ease. If you want a life most people will never have, you have to be willing to do what most people will never do. And that starts with sacrifice. Sacrificing comfort, sacrificing distractions, sacrificing sleep, sacrificing everything that doesn't move you closer to your purpose. You can't expect to shine later if you're not willing to grind now. It's not about being talented, lucky, or special. It's about being willing to do the hard things when nobody is watching. Too many people want the success, but they don't want the struggle. They want the spotlight, but they don't want to stand in the shadows for years preparing for their moment. You don't get to skip the process. You don't get to fast forward through the pain. You have to go through it. You have to earn it. Sacrificing comfort today is what builds the strength, the patience, and the discipline to handle success tomorrow. If you can't handle pressure in private, you're not ready for praise in public. Sacrificing comfort means choosing the grind when your body is screaming for rest. It means showing up to work when you don't feel like it. It means skipping the party, skipping the vacation, skipping the distractions, because you got a vision that's too important to delay. You're not grinding because you hate sleep. You're grinding because you love your future more. You love your family's future more. You love your dream more. You're doing this for something bigger than today. People won't understand your grind. They'll say you're doing too much. They'll ask why you're always busy, why you're always working. Let them talk. Let them sleep. Let them laugh. While they're relaxing, you're growing. While they're coasting, you're climbing. They don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. That's because the dream wasn't given to them. It was given to you. So don't expect them to understand your sacrifice. Just let your results explain it later. There will be moments when your mouth will beg you to quit, when your body will ache, when the doubts creep in and whisper, is this even worth it? That's the exact moment where champions are made. That's the exact moment where most people give up and you choose to rise. You choose to grind when it hurts. You choose to grind through the tear. You choose to sacrifice now because you understand every drop of sweat, every sleepless night, every hard decision is building your future. You got two choices every day, comfort or growth. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it steals your future. Growth is uncomfortable, but it gives you a legacy. You have to pick your pain, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But know this, one day you will feel pain either way. The difference is that one builds you, the other breaks you. One empowers you, the other empties you. So choose the grind, choose the sacrifice, because what you suffer through now will become your strength later. When you sacrifice comfort, you earn control. You stop letting your feelings make your decisions. You stop chasing pleasure and start chasing purpose. You begin to live intentionally. The grind rewires your brain. It teaches you that delay is not denial. It teaches you that pain has a purpose. It teaches you trust the process. Most people never get to their full potential because they're not willing to be uncomfortable long enough to unlock it. Look around. Most people are addicted to ease, addicted to distraction, addicted to feeling good in the moment. That's why most people stay average. That's why most people never shine, because they won't endure what it takes to separate themselves. If you want to rise, if you want to break generational cycles, if you want to live a life that makes others say, how did they do it? Then you must grind. You must be willing to do the things today that most won't, so you can have the things tomorrow that most can't. Every day you wake up, remind yourself, comfort won't get me there. Sleep won't get me there. Excuses won't get me there. Only the grind, only sacrifice, only discipline, only discipline. You're not grinding because it's easy. You're grinding because it's worth it. And one day, the same people who laughed at your struggle will be clapping for your success. One day, your story will inspire others to sacrifice their comfort too. But first, you gotta be the one who chooses to grind now so you can shine later. You can't depend on motivation. It's a liar. It shows up when it wants and disappears when you need it the most. Motivation is like the wind. Sometimes it blows strong and carries you forward, but other days it vanishes completely and you're left standing still. That's why you need discipline. Because discipline is dependable. Discipline shows up when motivation doesn't. Discipline is what gets you out of bed at 4 a.m. when the alarm goes off Everything in your body is begging to hit snooze. Discipline is what makes you train when you're tired, study when you're drained, and grind when you're uninspired. Too many people rely on motivation to move, and that's why they never get anywhere. They say, I'll do it when I feel like it. But what if you never feel like it? What if the feeling never comes? Does that mean the dream died? Does that mean the work stops? You gotta make a decision to live above your feeling. Champions don't wait to feel good to take action. They act, and then the feelings follow. Success is not emotional, it's intentional. It's built on daily habits, not occasional inspiration. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. It's what turns ambition into action. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody has dreams, visions, and goals. But not everybody has the discipline to wake up early, to stay focused, to keep going when it gets hard. That's where the separation begins. The ones who win are not always the most talented, but they are always the most consistent. They do what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel. They don't need hype music. They don't need someone to push them. They push themselves. Think about it. Every successful person you admire didn't get there by doing what they wanted to do every day. They got there by doing what they needed to do every day, whether they liked it or not, whether they felt good or not. They had a mission, and they were loyal to that mission. That's discipline. Discipline is staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the move you said it ends left. It's about honoring your commitments, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it's lonely. The grind will test you. It'll stretch you. It'll demand more from you than you thought you had. And if all you got is motivation, you'll tap out early. You'll find an excuse. You'll say, I'm not feeling it today. But discipline doesn't care about feelings. Discipline is built in silence, in routine, in the lonely hours when nobody's watching and nobody's clapping. It's in the quiet choices. Do you hit the gym or hit the couch? Do you study the extra hour or scroll social media? Do you invest in your future or waste time? Every one of those moments is a test of discipline. People want to know the secret to success, to greatness, to the next level. There is no secret. It's not hidden in some book or locked in a vault. It's simple. Wake up, show up, do the work, repeat. Day after day, year after year. That's it. That's the formula, and it's boring. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it's real. The people who are disciplined enough to live that way, those are the ones who shine later. Those are the ones who build something real. They're not chasing feelings, they're chasing growth. You'll see people around you quick. They'll start strong, full of hype and energy, but they'll fade when it gets uncomfortable because they were motivated, not disciplined. They were in love with the idea of success, but not committed to the process of success. But you've got to be different. You've got to build that inner fire, that relentless self-control. You got to be the one who sticks to the plan, who keeps showing up, who keeps moving forward, even when the world says slow down. Discipline isn't natural, it's trained. You weren't born with it, you build it, one decision at a time. One early morning at a time. One sacrifice at a time. You train your body to obey your mind. You train your mind to stay locked on your mission. And eventually, it becomes who you are. Not something you do, something you live. Something you live. And when you live with that kind of discipline, results become inevitable. You don't wonder if success will come. You know it will. Because you've done the work. You've stayed the course. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop chasing temporary feeling. Build something permanent. Build discipline, because it's not the most fired up person who wins, it's the most faithful. Not the loudest, but the most locked in. Not the most emotional, but the most focused. Grind now with discipline, and your time to shine will come. Not by chance, but by choice. Not by accident, but by consistency. Not when you feel like it, but because you earned it. Everybody wants to hold the trophy, but very few are willing to train when no one is watching. The world celebrates the results, but it ignores the repetition, the hours of discipline, the days of silence. And that's where most people get it wrong. They fall in love with the destination but hate the journey. They crave the prize, but they avoid the process. But the truth is, the process is where champions are born. The process is where transformation happens. You don't grow in the spotlight. You grow in the shadow. You don't build greatness on game day. You build it in the grind. When you focus only on the reward, you set yourself up for disappointment. Because success doesn't come overnight, and progress doesn't always show up in obvious ways. Sometimes you'll be working hard and see no results for weeks, months, even years. And if your love is only for the outcome, you'll quit. But when you fall in love with the process, when you learn to love the grind, the routine, the work itself, you become unstoppable. You don't need external validation. You don't need a finish line. You just keep showing up. The process is where the real battle takes place. It's where you fight self-doubt, fear, fatigue, and failure. It's where your character is tested. It's where your mindset is sharpened. The process strips you down and rebuilds you. It takes your ego, your laziness, your bad habits, and burns them away. It forces you to confront your weaknesses and either quit or rise. Most people will run from that. But those who embrace it, who lean into the fire, they come out stronger, sharper, and more focused than ever before. That's why it's not just about working hard when it's easy. It's about working hard when it's boring, when it's repetitive, when nobody claps, when nobody sees, when nobody cares. Because that's where consistency is born. And consistency is the secret weapon of success. Not talent, not height, not luck. Just showing up every day and giving your all again and again. That's how empires are built. That's how legacies are made. Falling in love with the process means respecting the steps. You can't skip stages. You can't cheat the grind. You can't microwave greatness. You have to go through every level, learn every lesson, endure every season. There's no elevator. You've got to take the stairs. And some days those stairs feel endless, but every step is shaping you. Every rep is building your foundation. You're not just chasing a goal, you're becoming someone new in the process. The process humbles you. It teaches you patience. It shows you that progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's invisible. You'll feel like nothing is happening, but deep down growth is taking place. Your discipline is getting stronger. Your focus is sharpening. Your habits are stacking. It's like planting a seed. Just because you don't see it sprouting doesn't mean it's not working. The roots are growing first. And if you're faithful to the process, the results will eventually follow. But you have to be willing to show up without applause, to grind without instant gratification, to move without a guarantee. That's what separates winners from wishers. Winners keep showing up. Wishers stop when it gets hard. Winners fall in love with the process. Wishers chase the outcome. You have to decide what kind of person you want to be. Are you in love with the image of success, or are you committed to the reality of it? Are you only here for the prize, or are you here for the work? The truth is, most people don't get what they want out of life because they're not willing to endure the process. They get excited, but they don't stay consistent. They want the reward, but they don't want the repetition. But the grind is non-negotiable. If you want to shine later, you've got to earn it now. You got to keep going, even when it's slow, even when it's silent, even when it seems like it's not working. Because the ones who win are the ones who keep going. You can't fake the process. You can fake motivation, you can fake hype, but you can't fake showing up day after day. The work doesn't lie. It reveals who's committed and who's just pretending. The grind is the filter. It removes the imposters. It exposes the truth. So if you're in it for real, embrace the process. Embrace the struggle. Embrace the repetition. Because the prize will come, but only to those who respect the process that leads to it. And when that moment finally arrives, when you win, when you shine, when you succeed, you'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't a shortcut. It wasn't handed to you. It was earned through hours, days, months, and years of grinding. You'll know you deserve it because you weren't just chasing the shine. You were committed to the climb. You became someone in the process. And that's a reward greater than anything money, fame, or trophies could ever offer. You don't need to announce your every move. You don't need to post every step of your journey. You don't need validation from the crowd. Real grinding happens in silence. The people who rise to the top are often the quietest in the room, the ones too focused on the work to talk about it. They're not chasing claps or likes or attention. They're chasing excellence. They don't care about who's watching. They care about winning. When you truly commit to the grind, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You let your results do the talking. There's a difference between working for attention and working for achievement. When you grind for attention, your energy goes to appearances. You want to look like you're grinding. You want the image, the praise, the recognition. But when you grind for achievement, your energy goes to execution. Your energy goes to execution. You want the result. You want the growth. You want to build something real. And real success takes focus, not fair. While others are busy making noise, you stay busy making progress. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one doing the most work. That's because real focus is internal. It's private. It's deep. When you're locked in on your purpose, the noise fades. You're not comparing yourself to others. You're not looking sideways to see who's doing what. You're locked into your lane, committed to your mission. That's how winners move. They don't waste time trying to convince people. They just outwork them, silently, ruthlessly, relentlessly. Grinding in silence gives you power. It gives you clarity. When nobody knows what you're working on, they can't distract you. They can't criticize what they can't see. They can't interfere with what they don't understand. Your silence protects your vision. It gives you space to fail, learn, grow, and rise without judgment. And when the time comes to shine, it'll look like you came out of nowhere. But you didn't. You were just working when nobody else was watching. Outworking your competition in silence isn't about ego. It's about endurance. It's about knowing that while others are resting, you're grinding. While they're talking, you're training. While they're showing off, you're showing off. You're showing up. You're not trying to impress them. You're trying to beat the old version of yourself. Every day, you're chasing improvement. Every day, you're setting a new standard. That's the mindset that creates greatness. There's a special kind of confidence that comes from private victories, from doing the reps when no one's counting, from staying disciplined when no one's checking, from pushing through when no one's encouraging you. That kind of confidence is unshakable because it wasn't built on applause, it was built on action. So when the spotlight does come, you're not surprised. You're ready. Because you didn't wait for approval to start, you created results in the dark. People won't always understand your grind. They won't see the early mornings, the late nights, the missed events, the sacrifices. That's okay. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because you know where you're headed. You got a purpose that burns too bright to be put on pause. You got a dream that matters more than opinions. You've got a standard that refuses to be lowered just to fit in. You grind in silence because you're building something sacred, something that doesn't need to be explained, only revealed. And here's the truth. Success is the loudest noise you'll ever make. When you win, people will notice. When you rise, people will ask how. When you shine, they'll want to know where you came from. But by then, it'll be too late. You already put in the work. You already paid the price. And they'll realize you weren't lucky. You were just locked in, grinding in silence the whole time. Moving with discipline, working with intent. So stop telling people what you're going to do. Show them. Stop chasing attention. Chase mastery. Stop needing applause. Build so strong they can't ignore you. Let your actions scream louder than your words. Let your success make the announcement. Because while the world is busy talking, the focus are busy building. While others are showing off the start, you're preparing for the finish. You know that true winners don't need the crowd. They need the commitment. And that's why you grind. Quiet, focused, relentless. Because one day the silence will speak louder than anything you could have ever said. There will be days when everything in you wants to quit, when the pressure feels too heavy, when the setbacks seem never ending, when you start to question if it's all worth it. That's the breaking point. That's the fork in the road where most people give up. But that's also the place where champions are made. Because if you can push through the breaking point, if you can keep going when everything in your life is screaming a stop, you'll tap into a version of yourself that you didn't even know existed. Most people never reach their full potential, not because they lack talent or intelligence, but because they stop at the first sign of adversity. The minute things get uncomfortable, they retreat. But greatness doesn't live in comfort. It lives in resistance. It lives in hardship. It lives in those moments when quitting feels easier than continuing. That's the test. That's the grind. The moment you feel like quitting is the exact moment you need to keep going. Because what lies on the other side of that struggle is strength, growth, and success. The breaking point is not the end. It's the beginning of something new. When you feel like you got nothing left, when your back is against the wall, when your energy is gone and your hope is fading, that's when your inner warrior has to rise. That's when you dig deep and remind yourself why you started. You remember the vision. You remember the promise you made to yourself. And even if you have to crawl, Even if you have to take one slow step at a time, you keep moving forward. Persistence is not about always feeling strong. It's about continuing, even when you feel weak. It's not about always having motivation. It's about showing up in his absence. Not about having perfect conditions, it's about performing in chaos. The grind will stretch you, bend you, and break you, but it will also rebuild you. It will teach you that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. It will show you that pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. Every obstacle you face, every failure, every moment of doubt, it's all part of your story. It's building your resilience. It's sharpening your mindset. It's preparing you for the shine that's coming. You're being tested not to punish you, but to prepare you, to build in you the character required to handle the success you're chasing. Because if you can't endure the grind, you won't be able to handle the glow. If you give up at the struggle, you'll never taste the victory. Champions don't quit when it gets tough. They rise. They use the pain as fuel. They take every no, every failure, every closed door and turn it into fire. They don't complain. They don't make excuses. They adapt, adjust, and attack. They understand that the grind isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be transformative. It's not breaking you down. It's building you up. It's preparing you for a level that few would ever reach because few are willing to suffer through the work it takes to get there. There will be seasons when nothing seems to go right, when you're grinding and grinding, but the results aren't showing up. That's the true test of your commitment. Can you keep showing up even when it looks like it's not working? Can you stay consistent even when it feels like no one sees you? That's when most people give up. But if you can outlast the storm, if you can keep pushing when others fold, you'll separate yourself. You'll break through because persistence always pays off. The grind always rewards the faithful. Sometimes the greatest victories are born out of the deepest struggles. The pain you're feeling today might just be the foundation for the strength you need tomorrow. You're being shaped by every moment you use to quit. And when that day finally comes, when the breakthrough hits, when the opportunities open up, when the success arrives, you'll know it wasn't love. It wasn't handed to you. It was earned, bad, fought for, one of the darkest hours when no one was watching and you kept going anyway. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is simple. One group stopped and the other kept going. That's it. That's the line. When you want to quit, remember there's someone else out there is still grinding. When you're tired, remember your why. When you're doubting, remember the vision. The grind now is the price for the shine later. And the only way to lose is to give up before it's your time. So don't. Keep pushing. Keep believing. Keep grinding even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because every step forward, no matter how small is progress, every rep, every hour, every choice, it all adds up. You're closer than you think. And the more you endure now, the brighter you'll shine later. Not by chance, but by choice. Not because it was easy, but because you refused to quit.